Oh, right. A battle of words right now between Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore and the Senate leader. Right now, Mitch McConnell urging earlier today that Roy Moore step aside, that he believes the women accusers here with allegations dating back some 4 decades. Roy Moore then countering that it's Mr. McConnell who should be resigning right now. In the middle of all of this, of course, growing angst about a December 12th election that looked like a gimme for Senate Republicans. Maybe not so much right now. That is crucial because this is all coming ahead of what will be crucial votes in the House and the Senate regarding big tax cuts that they hope to get done and soon. And now we're told increasingly, hopefully, they say, ahead of that December 12th election to make it a moot point. So Senate Finance Committee member, Ohio Senator Rob Portman. Senator, good to have you.
Hey, Neil. Thanks for having me on again.
How do you feel about Roy Moore and what he should do?
First of all, I do think that we're going to get this thing done, not before December 12th, but before December 8th, because that's the time at which we've got to deal with the year-end spending. So the schedule right now, Neil, is to try to get it through the committee this week with an open process and a lot of debate, but then have it on the floor that week after Thanksgiving. So I think this issue will probably be one that will be at least done within the Senate, and then we'll have a conference with the House. And as you know, I'm really excited about this tax reform. I think it's incredibly important that we get it done for the people I represent. So I'm hoping that won't be an issue.
Do you think Judge Moore should step down?
Well, look, as you know, I did not endorse the guy. I actually did endorse another person in the Republican primary, Luther Strange, who I think is a great senator. And I said, when I heard about these allegations, what I continue to say, which is that when women go on the record, I think it adds more credibility. I did say we ought to be sure that those allegations against him are not false. We've now had some time to look into this, and it seems to me that those allegations have a lot of credibility, and I have not heard a response that has that level of credibility. So, yeah, it would be best if he were to step aside.
All right. If he does not step aside, and of course he stays on the ballot, and even if he were to step aside, he would likely still be on the ballot, as you know, Senator. The feeling seems to be that even allowing for write-in candidates, whether Senator Strange would be a beneficiary of that or not, it would divide the Republican vote, and the Democrat would still win. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know Alabama politics well enough to know. What I do know is that we do have a great senator from Alabama right now in Luther Strange, and I would have wanted him to win that primary. That's why I endorsed him and actually, supported him. And we'll see how it all comes out.
Yeah. Senator, there are a lot of people who are wondering maybe this will give pause to the Steve Bannon wing of the party urging, renegade candidates or outside the box, non-establishment types, if you will, to run for office or to even be party primary opponents to established Republicans. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel like we have an agenda that I think Republicans across the board support, which is tax reform, lower taxes, which is entitlement reforms that are necessary to save these programs, which is regulatory relief to give small businesses a break, which is getting health care costs down, the costs down, and replacing the Affordable Care Act with something that actually works for people. And so we've got an agenda. And, Neil, my concern is the same thing that you saw in 2010 and 2012, where Republicans were putting up candidates who couldn't win in general elections, and therefore we were not able to pursue that agenda. And so we have to be careful not to fall back into this sort of circular firing squad where we put up candidates who cannot win a general election. We therefore can't get the majority, and therefore we can't do the things that the American people are looking for us to do, including tax reform right now, which is one that is front and center, and it's a great opportunity for us.
So I assume you do not share Mr. Moore's view that it's Mitch McConnell who should step down.
No,
okay.
No, I don't support Mr. Moore's view. What I support is, let's get some things done for the American people. I know that's not as exciting as talking about, the politics here, but the reality is, when I go home, what people say to me isn't so much about, what the pundits are saying on the right and what they're saying on the left. It's more like, why aren't you guys getting some things done? Everybody knows this tax code is broken. We'd like some tax relief. Middle-class tax cuts is part of this. Why are these jobs going overseas? That makes no sense. We've had a couple companies in Ohio, as you know, pull up roots and just go overseas because of the tax code, taking jobs and investment with them. Why can't you guys fix this? It's pretty simple. So I not that tax reform isn't complex, but
yeah.
The concept is pretty simple, which is let's have a code that actually works for us and lets us be competitive again and allows the middle class at a time when wages are flat and expenses are up to have a little break. And I think we can get this done, but it's going to require the Republican Party coming together and working together toward common cause, and that's what people are looking for.
Now, a lot of your House colleagues, sir, are not keen on delaying the corporate tax cut, that's a non-starter with them, you say?
Well, I don't think it's a big deal in terms of the economic impact. As you know, many economists think it actually is beneficial to have that year, not just to get it in place and to allow for the adjustment, but the fact that the rate will still be relatively high at nominally 35% means that the immediate expensing that you get right away will be more valuable, and therefore people will front load some of their purchases of plant and equipment. So it could actually give the economy a little more help than it would if you did it a year later. But frankly, it's also $120 billion more in revenue that we have to come up in other ways. So I'm for the one-year delay, but if we wanted to do it immediately, if people believe that and they could find the $120 billion in other ways that were not harmful to economic growth, I'd be fine with that too. To me, it's more a matter of, one, let's ensure we can get this thing done within the parameters we have, which, as you know, is a budget parameter that we cannot violate. We have to be sure we're not
is that what stymies you in the end? A lot of people don't know where the procedures you have to go through to get this done, and a lot of people are disappointed with the tax cut. A lot of people are disappointed, corporations notwithstanding, that the individual net gains from this certainly are not going to be across the board, and they might not be that big, and that if anything, you could encounter some very angry voters who say, wait a minute, all this fuss for this? I don't like it. What do you say?
Well, what I say is everybody in every single group, all the way up the income ladder, gets tax relief here. Significant tax relief, of course, as a percentage what people pay in terms of those who are lower income, but by doubling the standard deduction. So basically there's now a zero tax bracket. I think 4 or 5 million Americans who currently pay tax, income taxes, will no longer have any income tax liability just because of this bill. But for the middle class, it's also good. $1,500 per family, median family is the numbers being used. But actually in Ohio, it's almost $2,400 per family. Median family income about $65,000 in Ohio. That family of four, 2 kids, gets a $2,375 tax cut. That's meaningful. You know, that means you can put a little more money against retirement or make that car payment. So people care about that. But the biggest one, Neil, that I think is going to help people that is not being talked about is what's happening on the business side, because having this rate, the highest in the industrialized world,
bring it down, that might
hurting
help.
us.
That might help. I don't mean to jump on you. That commercial comes whether we're chatting or not, Senator. Thank you very, very much.
All right, Neil. Always great to talk to you.